At this point, call me Pizza Lee because I did not come to play with this recipe. If you want to know how I made this quick and easy pineapple bowl from start to finish, keep watching. Before I begin, I just had to grab a few items. And I always heard that Crosstown was the best place to shop when it came to Asian and Philippine cuisine. Now, I know what you may be thinking, and I thought the same thing too. I actually haven't been in here since primary school for obvious reasons, but I've been seeing the TikTok girlies in here a lot lately. So I was like, let me give them a try. Now, I'd tell y'all a joke, but I'd never tell y'all a lie. I was impressed. The first thing I noticed when I walked in is it was clean. The bleach was bleaching. The shelves stocked out. And I was mainly impressed by the meat section. I had to tell myself I didn't come to do end of month shopping. It's really how I got in there without cross-checking my grocery list and couldn't remember if I had cornstarch at home. Luckily, the voice in my head told me to put it back as I did. These are all the items I picked up and the bill came up to $48. Considering what I picked up, I didn't think the bill was bad. But now getting into the recipe. First, we're going to create our pineapple bowl. You want to cut your pineapple in half from top to bottom. Next, you want to scoop out the inside of the pineapple. The technique I use is to create squares and then scoop it out. You want to leave a little edge around a pineapple so that your bowl wouldn't be too thin. Make sure you set your pineapple cubes aside for the sweet and sour chicken. Next, we're going to scrape out that extra flesh that we missed. And I'm going to freeze this and save this for my carrot cake recipe. If you know, you know. But this should be the end result of your pineapple. Don't worry about how it looks now, trust the process. To prep my chicken, I washed it, patted dry, and cut it into bite-sized pieces. I added those to a bowl and created a wet batter using soy sauce, white pepper, salt, and flour. I gave that a good mix and set it to the side to marinate. I promise you the most tedious part about this recipe is prep. Once everything is prepped, you just throw things in the pot. So I went ahead and diced up everything, starting with cubing up my tricolor peppers and putting that to the side for my chicken. Then I cut up my scallions, and I separated the hard white part from the soft green part to the top. And y'all will see why later on in the video. Next, I cubed up a whole yellow onion for my chicken and diced half an onion for my rice. I peeled and finally diced up about 2 tablespoons of ginger, some for my rice and some for my chicken. And that was it for cutting. Getting into the shrimp for my shrimp fried rice, I peeled and deveined the shrimp, then seasoned it with soy sauce, salt, and white pepper. I added about a spoonful of cornstarch, gave that a good mix, and set that to the side. Now for the fun part, I heat up my wok, and not too much of my wok, just being through a lot. Now you can use oil, but I decided to use butter to fry my eggs. I cracked and lightly beat 3 eggs, but you could use as much as you want or none at all. So I scrambled them and put them to the side. I added some more butter to the pot along with a tablespoon of garlic and ginger. I cooked the shrimp until they were just pink on each side and then put that to the side. Now this way you just throw everything in the pot. So I threw in the white part of the scallions, the yellow onions, and cooked those until they started to turn translucent. I had these peas and carrots inside my freezer, and we working smart, not hard, so I threw them in there too. I let that cook for about 3 minutes, then toss back in my shrimp and eggs. And y'all, the key to shrimp fried rice is day old rice. So this is just some jasmine rice that I cooked the day before, and I threw that in the pot, added salt and black pepper, drop in some soy sauce, and this was gonna give the rice that brownish color, and I gave that a good stir. And y'all, I don't have no measurements for nothing, so please don't ask. But you could taste the rice to see what it needs. You fry in your rice on medium heat and gradually you will turn the temperature down. At this point, my rice was perfectly seasoned, so I just added a couple drops of sesame oil. You don't need a lot because it is strong, and that's how my rice came out. Now for the chicken. I put some flour in a bowl and seasoned it with white pepper and salt and added some baking powder. I mixed that up evenly. Then I tossed in my chicken, making sure that each piece is completely covered. Then I put them in a lined pan and set them aside for the flour mixture to settle. While that was settling, I heat up a pot of oil to 250 degrees and mix my sauce. Sweet and sour sauce is really easy to make. It's just ketchup, brown sugar. I use apple cider vinegar because I prefer that taste, but you could use rice wine vinegar if you have it. Soy sauce, garlic, and ginger. For the thickening agent, I used about 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch and gave that a good mix. So I set that aside and started frying up my chicken until it was a nice golden brown. And the key to making sure your chicken is extra crispy and the coating stays on when you put the sauce on is to double fry it. And this is how it looks when it's double fried. Perfection. Using my wok again, I added some olive oil and tossed in my tricolor peppers and onions, and then I cooked that until the onions was translucent. I added about half of what was left of my scallions. Then I added my pineapple, allowed that to cook for another minute or two, and poured in my sauce. Now for me, I love gravy, so I used the entire bowl. Once that sauce started thickening, I throw in my chicken, mix that up, let it simmer, and that was it. This is how my sweet and sour chicken came out. 10 out of 10. Lastly, you just want to assemble your rice and your chicken in the bowl. Add some scallions on the top for garnish, and voila! Try this recipe and let me know how it turns out. Bye!